All right. Assalamu alaikum, man. What's good? It's been quite a while since we've last done any events in the server, and it's been genuinely quite a while since we've given you some updates regarding our podcast. Well, here's an update. This is a part of the podcast episode, and I'm glad to have at least some of you here. So, inshallah, let's see how far we can go with this. And yeah, today's topic Ramadan retrospective. ArchoN, will you take the stage?
Yes. So today we're basically going to talk about, well, the topic is Ramadan retrospective. So it's a review. It's essentially a discussion and a review of how our Ramadan went. Like we'll talk about some of the wins, some of the good things that we did, some of the improvements that we were able to make in our own lives in all aspects of life. Maybe it could be physical, maybe it could be spiritual, maybe it could be financial, emotional, any area of life that we made improvements on. So we're going to discuss the wins we had, and also some of the losses. So maybe there maybe certain things that we weren't able to do or didn't do rather. So some of the wins, some of the losses, and moving forward. Although Ramadan ended like a few weeks ago, we're moving forward. What our intentions are, what we're taking away from this Ramadan, and just generally how maybe some stories from Ramadan, from this past Ramadan as well. So yeah.
Indeed. Inshallah, let's go.
So with that being said, let's start. For me, the I'm gonna start with the wins. So before Ramadan, my at least my brain was being fried from all the notifications from the phone, left, right, and center. University has started, and also like all the group projects and whatnot. So there is the notification from here, calls from here, there, and also the whole social media addiction side of things. So I was thinking that in to make use of Ramadan, I'm gonna need a clearer mind, right? So a mind that's more focused and a more focused and clearer mind. So I decided that, okay, number one, I'm gonna have to cut down and change how I use my phone. So number one was less time that I spent mindlessly on social media. So of course I need social media to come contact with people that I care about, and also like there are many useful content that I consume there as well. But I didn't quit social media, but it was more mindful. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna if like as soon as I picked up my phone and before going on social media, it's like setting an intention. Like this is exactly why I'm going on social media, right? So it was that because before that I was actually developing a very awful phone addiction that was just scrolling and scrolling like a zombie. So I was it was sort of shifting towards me being the slave of the phone rather than the phone being my possession or something like that, right? So I wasn't exactly liking that. So yeah, so I decided to like use Ramadan as an opportunity to be more mindful of things and take back control of my own life. And it starts small, and it starts small with your
Alhamdulillah.
phone. So yeah, so with that, so that was like the first step. The second was so this time, like like after moving to Malaysia, like there's life has like been very dynamic and also more challenging. So it's like now I've got my own place to manage, my own health, my own cooking and whatnot. So if I'm not gonna cook, no one's gonna cook for me. It's kind of like that. So I'm gonna have to manage the finances, my house, my phone, not phone, finances, right? And also the university and studying aspect of things, and also like this podcast and this content creation, and the side hustle, the side hustle that you do on your own. So there are like loads of things that I've got to balance, but I have no idea. I have no idea, absolutely no idea how to balance that. So so there's a thing. Um, Necessity is the mother of all invention. So right now it was like this, like to manage all three of these areas. Oh, also, number four was like the spiritual aspect, the religious aspect of things. So the Quran recitation, the maintaining the Islamic side of things. You know, the Islamic education side of things. That was also that's also like extremely important as Muslims. So how am I gonna maintain all four of these? So I devoted that Ramadan to like actively crafting a productivity routine. So the routine would be would take care of my, if I follow it correctly, it would take care of my studies, it would take care of my religion, it would take care of the any side household things that I do, and also like the health and fitness side of things. So what I so some experiments that I used was that I used Google Calendar and also ChatGPT. So you guys are probably familiar with ChatGPT. It's pretty famous right now. But as a CS student, I got exposed to it early. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna input all these details. Like, okay, these are the amounts. These are the times that I sleep. This is the suhoor time. This range. Like I literally explained to ChatGPT what Fajr, Zuhur, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha were, and also like gave it the timings. And I'm like, okay, now given this time, given that Juma is at this time, given that I've got classes until this time, given that I've the transportation time takes I don't know 10, 15 minutes on Wednesday, 1 hour on Thursday, yada yada yada. So like I fit all these and so I did all of those, and like I was like, okay, let's see what ChatGPT suggests us. So yeah, there were some experiments that I did with Google Calendar and ChatGPT, and I managed to create some sort of routine. And my goal was, okay, this is like the perfect routine for me. So my goal was to follow at least 50% of it. If I followed 50% of it, it would be like it would already be better than the routine that I was leading. So yeah, when there's a like set structure that you have for your own life, then it actually gets easier. It's like a sort of canvas, like blank you have a blank page, and then you simply get to fill out whatever you want to do. But that page is that structure. So with the so I talked about the mindfulness. I talked about crafting a productive routine. So my initial goal was to to have like a perfectly productive Ramadan, but of course that wasn't possible. In fact, I started and I found out that around half of Ramadan was spent in creating and following the routine. So the ex half of Ramadan was spent in the experimentation phase. So it wasn't perfect, but it was better than something. So 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 with that is the next step for was the next step for me, which was we talk about deep work, deep focus, and all that all the time,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yep.
crucial in this day and age. So I'm like, okay, if I'm not even able to like sit down and learn something for even 30 minutes or 1 hour, then um if I don't even have that skill, then I will not be able to do anything significant. I told you about these four pillars of life that I have right now, right? These four aspects of life. So I cannot afford to not have this skill. So it's like, okay, I gotta be as efficient with my study time as possible so that I can devote time to all
Wait,
these
what
other
are the four
areas.
pillars of
So
life
yeah,
though?
no, 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 no. Dude, have you not been listening to me? I told you about the four aspects
Oh,
of
okay,
life
okay.
right now.
Yeah, I
So
got you.
right now is like the university life, the religious life. Yeah, that
Ah,
one.
okay,
I
okay.
was talking about that. So yeah, so that's why like the skill of deep work and deep focus was very essential and crucial. So before it was a luxury, and now it's a necessity. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna start to develop that. So maybe I'd take some long form content. Normally I'd watch maybe a 10-minute video or a 5-minute video. This time I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna take the challenge. I'm gonna watch this 2 hour long informational and educational video. I'm gonna take
Man, you
notes,
got
yada yada
patience.
yada, and I'm gonna just sit down and yeah, yeah. So that developing that like retraining, right? It's like going to the gym. You go to the gym and then you don't train for a while, and then you come back and you have to start a bit lower than your previous max. So it
Understandable.
was kind of like that. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna start the 1 hour one. So yeah, I just started eliminating all the other distractions that I had, and it's like, okay, just I'm gonna sit down, watch this long form discussions on this on some topic that I was interested in. Of course, like or some relevant topic. Maybe it could be some discussion on Ramadan, maybe a Noman Ali Khan lecture, or maybe I don't know, some dopamine related video or something like that. Yeah, the topics varied. So yeah, I found that the previous things that previous three things I spoke about, those were like absolutely crucial, because if I'm able to be more mindful, if I have a deep work routine, and if I'm able to focus deeply, then my Ramadan would be much more productive and much more fulfilling Ramadan, and also like be Ramadan and
Yeah.
beyond, right? So which is the present moment. So yeah, and so this is like the more, I don't know, brain side of things. Now I'm gonna speak a bit more about the spiritual side of things. So at least, Alhamdulillah, this Ramadan I was able to make have some engagement with the Quran.
Alhamdulillah.
So I actually brushed up on some of the previous surahs that I'd memorized. So, for example, um, my new my, my new goal was to memorize Surah Yasin. So I'd memorized up to like 20 or 22 ayats, alhamdulillah. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing that again. So I'm gonna start memorizing again. And if I'm not able to memorize, like sit down and memorize, then I'm just gonna just read through some of the previous surahs that I already have memorized. Um, so yeah, this was like it's actually been a while since I properly engaged with the Quran. So it's like, okay, this Ramadan is like I'm gonna use this opportunity to reconnect. So yeah, that was it. Number five was, of course, actively praying Salah 5 times a day on time. So on time is on time is the actual, like, the key word here, because historically, of course, like when I used to live in Dhaka, the capital city, like there was a mosque nearby. There was like a nice system, so I used to go at least 4 times a day to the mosque. Now that, like, things have changed, environments have changed, and now like that's not possible anymore. But yeah, so outside of the mosque, my default mode has always been to pray at the very last minute. So, for example, if Asr time is at like 4:30 p.m., then you'd find me rushing and praying Zuhur at like 4:15 p.m. Like that was like that used to be a habit of mine. So, but recently, like I actually came across a post that said, so like my mom used to tell me, like, do not delay your salah, but I did not. I actually could not care less. But recently, I came across a post that like said something along the lines of, "If you delay your salah, if you delay your salah, Allah delays your success in this
Oof.
world." Like
That
that
hits.
that part like actually hit
That
me very
hits.
hard. I was like, okay, I cannot afford to do that. So since then, Alhamdulillah, I've been making sure that I just take like a few minutes, because Salah, honestly, at the bare minimum, it takes like a few minutes, right? If you pray decently. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to take a few minutes here and there is nothing. So it's like, okay, I'm just going to take, like, this language is basically to convince myself. So it's like, okay, just take out your prayer mat, Zubair. Like, please take out your prayer mat and just pray. It's only gonna take 5 minutes, and just do that as early as possible.
Okay, that's
So yeah,
legit.
and honestly, like so honestly, yeah, so honestly, this shift, this small shift has has like has me feeling miles and leagues better than before. Like the quality, like my quality of life actually like feels a lot better, alhamdulillah, with this small change, which is praying earlier and praying on time.
Alhamdulillah.
So yeah, because but so yeah, of course, of course. Even though this happened, there were, of course, some days that I unfortunately slept and missed Fajr. So let's say, even in Ramadan, that happened. It's like, okay, I maybe like went went out for suhoor, or had some event to attend to, and then like we came back home late, and maybe or maybe had some work to do, and then slept later, and then I woke up and I found out that missed further by only like 5 minutes or so. Like that was
That's
like very hard.
painful. That's
So
for real.
this kind of this this kind of thing happened more than a few times, and also like also once or twice where I actually like for just a straight up didn't pray shot, like stuff like that happened. But it was like um, it was more of me like reverting and trying to like trying to better my salah habits and salah routine. So yeah, but alhamdulillah, like whatever happened this Ramadan, it was a lot better than what was going on before, and a lot and miles better than my last Ramadan. So my last Ramadan was like uh, I I'd rather not talk about it. Like it wasn't like, I mean, it's not that I did anything bad last Ramadan, but it was more like I wasn't engaged with Ramadan. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to Taraweeh, like it's on my own. Like um it's like if I'm going to pray Taraweeh, like it's 100% it's me going. Like no one's forcing me, no one's telling me to do anything. Like if I'm gonna pray earlier, it's like it's me who is making the decision, not anybody else. So in terms of that, I'm also like if I'm gonna do anything, it's like it's from my own enthusiasm and not from anyone else. So like this Ramadan, it was more. I felt more enthusiastic.
That's
That's the
pretty
key word.
damn good, to be honest.
So yeah, like last Ramadan, I was like, I'm not going, maybe I'm gonna pray Taraweeh. Like, no, they're not letting me lead the prayer yet. This and that stuff happened, but this time it's like, okay, yeah, I'm excited to go to Taraweeh. After Taraweeh, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna shower. I'm gonna like, recite some du'as, and I'm gonna fall asleep. Yeah, this was like the ideal one. But of course, I'm gonna digress a bit. This did happen that I came back from Taraweeh. I called my mom, and my mom was like, what are you gonna do now?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna freshen up, take a shower, and then go to sleep." And then right after that, my a junior from my university calls and is like, "Okay, bro, like where are you?" I'm like, "I'm at home now." And they're like, "Aren't you gonna come to the meeting?" I'm like, "What meeting?" And then apparently there's like, so we have Bengali Students Association here, and we had like we're gonna we'd have to be forming the whole organization, and so there's like the whole election and voting and yada yada yada.
God
So
damn, you've
there's
been busy.
a lot of work involved. So instead of showering, changing into comfortable clothes, and like going to sleep, I took a shower, changed to outside clothes, and then headed out from my home from my apartment at like 11:30 or like 11 p.m. And then like we did all that work, and then there were loads of new people, so like we had some late
My
night
man be
dinner,
rushing.
and like um, yeah, and then we came at home at like 3 a.m. or something. So this stuff like this happened, but other than that, it was like, okay, the rest of the time you can like try and follow that productivity routine, the productive Muslim routine you made, as much as possible. So yes, stuff like this happened. Now, I talked about the psychological, like the brain aspect, focus aspect of things. I talked about the Quran engagement with the Quran aspect of things. Now, I'm going to talk about the physical aspect, which is like the health and fitness. So why am I bringing this? Because our bodies essentially our vessel for our souls, right? So our souls are contained in our bodies. So our bodies are a vessel for our souls, which is given by Allah. So it's our duty to take care of it. So our bodies are basically amana. So too often we neglect our health. Um, we feed it all kinds of junk. We mistreat it as if it's our own possession. But in reality, it's not our possession. It's simply an amana given to us by Allah, and it's our duty to
For
take
real.
care of it. So that was my whole mindset towards like the health and fitness aspect of it. So number one, so in this category, firstly it was eating well and eating clean, and secondly it was going to the gym. So I learned up more about nutrition, and I was experimenting to see what type of food works best for my body. So it's like, okay, today I'm gonna eat like these few days I'm gonna eat rice, then the next I'm gonna eat tortillas with chicken, of course, like with chicken
Tortillas.
and these protein sources and whatnot. So yeah, I was experimenting with these different kind of foods and trying to see what works best for me. So it was like, okay, So I established some consistent sources of food. So it was like chicken, tortilla, maybe some oats, fruits, milk, yada yada yada. So like these, um, yeah, of course you need a variety of foods, but it was like, okay, this is simple enough. So I'm just gonna get started with this, and then I'm gonna progress towards uh, more vegetables and whatnot. So, for example, I found out that if I eat too much rice, it just unnecessarily bogs me down. It makes me feel sluggish,
Not gonna lie,
and so if I
like if
feel
I
sluggish, my
may
product,
intrude a bit, not gonna lie, like rice or bread,
yeah,
anything carbohydrate based, like the moment you eat, like ingest it, you just feel sluggish and like you just want to lay down and do almost nothing.
yeah, that happened quite a bit of times. So like I'd have iftar and it's like I cannot even get up. So it was like that. So yeah, it would affect my productivity for the rest of the day. So I told you like all these aspects of life that sprung up. So I cannot really afford to have low energy. So since then, like I tried and significantly cut down on rice, and I've been like feeling better ever
Alhamdulillah,
since.
that's
Alhamdulillah.
legit.
So so the second part of it was going to the gym and lifting. So even in a fasted state. Now don't. Some people might call me crazy, but hear me out. Like I went to the gym, I lifted the weights, but it was like slightly less than what I would normally lift. So if I lift like maybe 10 kilograms this time, maybe I would like do like 8 or 9. So I either of course, but of course the majority of the time I'd lift like yeah, a bit less than what I normally lift. So it's like I'd either do like less number of sets or I'd reduce the weight. So maybe let's say 10 kilogram is like my normal one. So normally I do like 3 sets. This time maybe I do 2 sets. Or if I did 3 sets, I would reduce the weight down to like 8 or 7 or something like that. So yeah, it was like that, so that it's easier to lift because yeah. So I mainly do weight training. So if I did that and then tried like after resting, I tried to focus on something like any sort of activity that required my brain power. So like maybe like some high level thinking or like some deep thinking that's required. So that would sort of get affected. So I'd either need to rest longer or even sleep or recover or something. So yeah, that would happen. But at the same time, I could not also let my fitness progress die down because of Ramadan. Because oftentimes it happened, like last Ramadan it happened that I would not exercise. Um, so while I did not lose energy from workouts, but I didn't gain anything
This is,
either
by the way,
because
this is during you fasting.
yeah,
While
while
fasting.
fasting. So
Damn, bro.
I'm gonna no, yeah, it's normal, and I'm gonna tell you why it's normal um, because like there I actually did not had no other choice because um yeah, like last Ramadan, like my fitness progress just tanked, right? And I felt absolutely awful even after Ramadan and during Ramadan as well. So it's like, okay, it's a myth that you should not exercise while fasting. Actually, it's one of the best things you can do. You just need to do it responsibly, but
True,
do it well. But you
especially
need to do it.
given that like during the
So
Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, like the Sahabas used to go to wars while fasting. So that's something
exactly,
to like put things into perspective.
and you can't even like get to the gym. Come on, like let's not
True,
kid
true.
ourselves, right? So in fact, I told you like after about again, this is like the third or fourth time I'm talking about all these dynamic things happening. So and so Ramadan, these university events, these side hustle things, and my health and fitness and religiosity. So it's like 4 or 5 different things. So I'm gonna need a stronger and fitter body and mind to actually accommodate for all these things happening at once,
Yeah.
right? So I'm gonna need that capacity, and if I don't go to the gym, I'm never gonna develop that capacity, right? So yeah. So I didn't really prefer lifting after iftar because here like iftar was at 7:30 p.m. and Tarawih was like at 8:30 p.m. So what would happen is it would be like of course iftar takes around 30 minutes to finish, so it's like only 30 minutes left for the gym, and then if I go to the gym, then I'm going to rest for a bit, and then I go to Tarawih, which would make me miss some of the rakats. So that happened because this actually happened. This actually happened once or twice that I actually missed Tarawih because I was at the gym. So it's like by the time I finished, it was like Tarawih actually finished. So I was like, okay. So that's why the option of lifting after iftar, it wasn't really a feasible one. And besides, I actually prefer just winding down,
Yeah,
relaxing,
it's understandable.
making du'as and stuff. Yeah, just going to bed by like 10 or 11 p.m. So after Tarawih, so when I took all these things into consideration, like I had to go to the gym during the day while fasted. So yeah. So some so these were the major ones. Now I'm gonna do like some of the smaller ones, or maybe they're not small, but these are like some honorable mentions. Which is number one, eliminating swear words completely. So in the past 2 years or so, I have actually been hurling profanities, bad words, like a bit more than I'd have liked. So
Yeah,
there's
it's
a limit, right? Of
understandable.
course, it's not good, but there's still a limit, right? I personally felt like I was exceeding those limits. So this time I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually going to put in the effort to make sure that as many good words come out of my word as many good words come out of my
Man
mouth
was
as
falling into a
possible.
dilemma
So
right
yeah,
there.
all the good stuff,
Yeah,
all the good words, and all the good content that should come out of my mouth. So yeah, I was so it's like okay, there's a saying, right? Garbage in,
yeah.
garbage out. My goal was to speak as good as possible, speak good or remain silent.
Also,
That
something you
practice of
just
it.
said, like the
So for
garbage
that,
in, garbage out, it kind of reminded me of you are what you consume. So technically, if you consume crappy content, in the
yeah,
end of the day, you're gonna end up being crappy. So it kind of makes sense. Yeah, that's a nice reminder.
yeah, yeah. If you also consume crappy food, you're going to have a crappy body and energy. So it's garbage in, garbage out. It's universal. So because of that, I actually had to be more mindful of and be more in control of what I put in my mind. So the content I consume, the people I interact with, the types of conversations that I engage in, and also like what I allow myself to put out. So yeah, this was like I was actually more on hyper, like I was more mindful of all these things. Um, of course, I told you like it wasn't perfect. Like the first 15 days, it took me like 15 days of like experimentation and semi half
Wait,
decent
what?
following the routine to
Could
like
you repeat that
establish
again?
it in
Semi
place.
something you were saying.
Semi like
Oh, okay.
half decently, right? I told you like I wanted to like have a very productive and fulfilling Ramadan, but it's like okay, I had no routine. I constructed a routine and started experimenting with it, and that took me like 15 days. So like half of the Ramadan actually went by just me trying to establish
Yeah,
that
I
routine.
understand the
So
feeling.
so so yeah, aside from that, I told you that there were some like some hangouts maybe that started after 8:30, and then it turned into the night. So it's like we went out here and there, we talk about stuff, we maybe organize some events, we talk about organizing events, planning, yada yada yada. So I'd sometimes come back at home at 2, sometimes even like the latest one was at 4:30. So it was like
Bruh.
I mean I did have a lot of fun, of course, like got to meet a lot of Bengalis in my university. Like we had a blast, but of course, like uh, when I came back home, I try and rest and recover, and then get back to the routine that I
That's pretty legit,
established.
bro. Oh
Oh,
yeah, go on.
by the way, by the way, aside from all these, I also had classes to attend. So, so yeah,
Ouch,
I had university as
ouch.
well.
That's a
So,
bummer. That's a huge bummer, bro.
they, like, so all these variables included the my mindset was that okay, I created this routine. Even if I follow like 50% of it, it's going to be a lot better than the behavior that I would normally be defaulting to. So that was like the entire purpose of the schedule. So yeah, so the overall, so again, I'm actually concluding my point here. So the overall to summarize, the overall point of my Ramadan, like this Ramadan so far, was to take it slow and reintegrate some of the crucial habits and some crucial systems and routines um, in my life, because because if I don't do that, then my life by default is very chaotic, right? I'm a very chaotic type of person. So yeah, that's why I needed some structure. So in the form of a structured routine, I started like reintegrating some of the good and crucial habits in place, and like building it one step at a time. So I told you about the experiments. So maybe this day I found that okay, studying at this time of the day while fasted is good. Maybe some other day I study at some other time. So it's like okay,
The
experimenting.
worst part, to be
So
honest,
so
like
this is
when you're saying about all this
yeah.
routine and structure, the worst part is this time, like this Ramadan, I ended up going in without a routine. Like I just dropped into Ramadan. That's basically how I ended up going into it. Bro, it was just something mad. Okay, anyways, continue.
Same. Like I told you, I went into Ramadan. It's like I want to have a fulfilling Ramadan. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have a fulfilling Ramadan, productive Ramadan. Then I went into Ramadan. I was like, okay, I have no routine, so I gotta create the routine. And then yeah, 15 days, 15, 20 days.
15 days just passed
Um,
by.
so so yeah, so it's like so again, some other reminder was another reminder that I set for myself was Ramadan is only 1 month. Of course, it's one of the most important month in the year,
Yep.
but also like it's not the only month, right? There's the rest of the 11 months you'd have to you'd have to utilize properly so that you can make the next Ramadan better, right? So the Ramadan you told me. So the next Ramadan that I go for, they that Ramadan should have a foundation, right?
Yeah.
So and the foundation is built on the rest of the 11 months. So my vision was okay. Even if I am not perfect this Ramadan, the stuff that I start building right now, it's not gonna stay within Ramadan. It's gonna go beyond Ramadan. So just so when Ramadan ends, this routine is gonna
It
continue,
has a vision.
right? So that was yeah, so that was like the whole mindset behind it. So yeah, that that was that was the overall theme of it. So, but these are like the wins for me. Now I'm gonna talk about some of the losses and also like moving forward what I intend to do, inshallah. So number one is more concentration in prayers, obviously. So I told you like okay, I convinced myself like okay, it's only gonna take like a few minutes to pray the prayers. So I established the prayers on time, but I wish I did more, which was being more concentrated in the prayer. So it's like okay, I'm just gonna pray and just get it out of the way so that I don't miss it, right? So of course, praying praying the prayers on time is better than not praying
Also,
them at
like
all. And
getting into forgetting about the, let's say, just the way you just said it, right? Like getting it out of the way. We could also work on that mindset,
yeah,
if you will.
yeah. No, I mean, of course, it's I just very much simplified it, right? So it's like Um, of course, I don't really treat it as such, but sometimes, like I told you, right? Sometimes I missed Isha, sometimes I missed Fajr. So in those times, it's like, okay, please just pray and just get it out of the way. Come on, can't you even can't you even spare a few minutes? So this language was me trying to convince myself to do that. Else, it was more like that. It was not for the others. So yeah, but what I wish I did better was more concentration in prayers. So understanding most of what you recite, and also like take it a bit slow, take it like slow and steady, and develop the connection with Allah in this prayer and all that. So I wish I did that more. Number two, it's also related to prayers. So I wish that I prayed more nafil prayers. So Ramadan is a time that you like all the good deeds are multiplied by 70 times, right? So I wish I prayed some more nafil prayers. I mean, I did pray nafil prayers, but I wish I did more. Mm, Number three was like I started although I connected the Quran, like I revised the older surahs that I memorized, but there was nothing new learned during Ramadan. So like before Ramadan, I always expect that I'm gonna learn something new, some new ayahs of the surah. But unfortunately, like this Ramadan, I did not. I wasn't able to memorize a single new ayah from the Quran. Of course, I'm not a hafiz, so so in that sense.
Like we got the
So yeah,
goals. Yeah, I got you, bro.
yeah. So that and moving forward, inshallah, I also want to do like more active meditation. Um, so I'm gonna like focus on one thing for like without distraction. Meditation is like very not now. Meditation it's not the type of that you see in I don't know
The
the
Buddhists and
yoga
the
yoga.
Hindus.
Yeah, not the Buddhist, not that kind. Simply just sitting down, closing your eyes, and just focusing on your thoughts, or focusing on your breath. Those um,
The basic
simple,
meditations.
yeah, basic ones. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Not
So,
gonna lie,
and on
like
that,
taking you
also gonna
from
come.
the
Yeah.
meditation tangent, I actually tried meditating for first I was doing for like 10 minutes and then I got interested in it, so let's just do it 5 more minutes. And then later I did 8
Mm,
minutes of it and it was very refreshing, not gonna lie. Like it genuinely kind of took me out of the usual hustle and bustle of, let's say, the online world, right? Because at least I
oh,
am spending a lot of time on social media in and of itself. So, like, it was kind of a good
mm.
thing. A big pause, if you will.
Yeah, it's kind of like the online world and the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Like it can take it kind of eat away at you. So this meditation, just a 5 or 10 minute session is gonna do wonders, and it's gonna help you to learn how to focus. And if you learn how to focus, then you're gonna be able to do all the other, be it physical activity, be it religious activity. As Muslims, you're gonna be able to do all of them better. So yeah, I wish that. Um, Number five is like watching long form lectures on Ramadan. So like there were even 3 years back, I'd watched like some Ramadan series or Ramadan reflection series by Noman Ali Khan and stuff like that. But this time, like that involvement such as that, it's been very minimal. There, so there were like I did not really watch long form lectures on Ramadan. Normally, I'd be doing that. This time, I wasn't able to do that. And number six, inshallah, from now on, like from moving forward, no backbiting. So of course, some of that did happen during Ramadan, unfortunately. But like it was like I was mindful of that, and I'm like, okay, from next, like I'm
Man
gonna
was
be more
aware, that's
mindful of
for
that. And
real.
yeah, at least the awareness, right? It's not better than nothing else. Numbers, so no backbiting. Number seven is zero missed prayers. So I told you, even in Ramadan, I missed Fajr and Isha at times. So it's like, okay, I wish that I did not miss a single one. So yeah, that. Number eight, spending more time in the masjid. So I'm gonna reveal something. I've been in Malaysia for about 6 or 7 months, and I've actually outside of Juma and like if maybe the Isha prayers during Ramadan, I'd actually never prayed any other what do you call it? Any other prayers. Of course, like a few days ago, I actually prayed Maghrib in that masjid. But it goes to show that I've been here for 6 7 months, and only like right now I'm starting to like sometimes go to that masjid
You're
and
getting the
pray.
whole of it, but it's
Um,
kind of late. Goddamn, bro.
yeah, I mean, of course, it takes like 15 minutes to get to that mosque, so it's like it's not exactly very near to my home. So, but yeah, at least sometimes at least I should go, right.
Could it be
So
the
so yeah.
aspect of like connectivity? Because let's say you were in your home country, right? So technically you had that
Mm.
connectivity because you knew the people and you know the language as well. So you kind of have that barrier
Uh,
going on right now. Would that be also a reason though?
I'm not sure because okay, there's the home country side of things, and there's also I don't know. I'd say so. In back when I used to live in Dhaka, the capital city, like I had a mosque near my apartment, so like I'd go. It would take like 1 or 2 minutes to go, and there was yeah. I remember there was a sense of community. There was also like a religious friend of mine. We used to play football together and discuss good stuff. and also pray together. Um, so, so yeah, there was that friend. There was like a very good community because there was a field beside it, so we'd play football and then we'd go and pray and stuff like that. So there was like a very good community, and the mosque was beautiful, alhamdulillah. Then after I moved to Rajshahi, which is my hometown, the enthusiasm just tanked. Like there's a mosque nearby, but it's like I just do not feel like praying in that mosque. Like sometimes I'd go, yeah, true, but not regularly at all. So it's like, nah, I'd just rather pray at home because I don't know, like that environment shift, the lack of community, the what do you call it? Yeah, lack of community, and also like the involvement. Like we before it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to the mosque, let's go, right, and then after it's like,
Like
it's
having
like
that sense of familiarity of, let's say, a group of
familiar.
friends, right? Like you're homies with a
Yeah,
few people, and like they're coming to you and saying like, "Yo, let's go to the mosque. Is the adhan's there? It's been given. Let's just run to it, bro." And, like you had that feeling, that childhood energy, you know?
yeah, yeah. This wasn't present, but of course I'll say something. When I went to the mosque like a few days ago, it felt very good, like much better than the ones in Rajshahi. So it's like
Alhamdulillah.
actually I actually feel more connected to this mosque than the mosque in my hometown. So that's saying
When you
something.
feel the
So
connectivity, bro. When you feel that
yeah,
connectivity.
it's like yeah, like there are trees all around you go, and then there's like even though there's like a sort of is would I call it a Chinese temple? I'm not sure, but yeah, I have to cross like a Chinese temple or something and then go to the mosque. But yeah, but still, like there's like a sense of connection. There's like a nice environment, um, and also like good recitation. And yeah, it's like overall it just feels better. Like the whole journey of going to the mosque itself feels better. But yeah, in Rajshahi, like the mosque that I used to go to before, they weren't like that.
It was kind of like boring
So
and bland, or like it was just a rush
just
job.
bland. Yeah, that's the thing. Bland. It felt bland.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah. And finally, number nine. I wish that I was I wish that I had actively made more duas. So it's actually like even like a few years back, I used to like actively make a lot of duas. Like I even made a document that listed all the duas that I had ideas for. And so like whenever let's say I created a system where whenever that come rain, I just pull out my phone and then okay, I just read through the list of the words. So yeah, it's been a while since I did that, so I'm gonna start doing more of that now.
Legit.
So
That's
yeah,
legit.
that was
That's a plan, not gonna lie. That's actually kind of leading to a plan.
uh, yeah, at least it's systematized. It's like I made this amazing dua that I remember that I made a few years ago, and it's still with me because I've taken the time to type it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was overall my Ramadan perspective of 2023.
Mine is actually comparatively, dude, very short. Also, another thing, Allahumma barik to you, bro. You've been, I mean, you went like above and beyond compared to where I've been. To be honest, I have a lot more losses than wins, not gonna lie. And that kind of makes me feel a bit off. Cause damn, past me, what the heck you been doing? It kind of makes me feel like, like, you know, when you feel down and everything and then you just start beating yourself up. So it's kind of like that. Although it's understandable. Why? Because, for example, you went 15 days later, you ended up with a routine. You actually worked for that 15 days to make a routine. In my case,
Mm,
however, I just dropped into Ramadan. And the worst scenario is that I actually didn't have any routine. Because this time, I just went with the flow of all I knew from the past Ramadan that I kept carrying on, which is I gotta finish the Quran recitation. Like, I gotta finish it. I gotta. And that, like, that, how could I put this? This extreme
mm,
excitement and just wants to finish the Quran ended up pushing me in a way that I just ended up not finishing it, which is very weird, which is very hypocritical of me to not even finish it when that's my main plan, like in the list of plans that I had. And yeah, if I talk about my wins, well, the fun fact is Yeah, boy's been back trying to get knowledge again. Alhamdulillah, I've been trying to gain knowledge from some specific channels. I'm not gonna name them for now, because I just want to enjoy my time slowly getting back into the road to knowledge, really. Because last time, like I think I ended up spending 5 months or an entire year without seeking knowledge anymore, and I just completely cutting that road off. Because back then, when I was first starting off, right, I was very enthusiastic and I was really interested in finding out everything, and I wanted to know everything all at once. And boom, that was the biggest mistake. I shouldn't have done that, because that led me to burnout, and it also kind of led me to like having this disdain for like the act of gaining knowledge, right? Because I couldn't keep it stored in my head. It was getting way too hardcore. Like, it was getting harder. For example, like, if you want to practice something, you don't practice it in one go. Like how in the Quran, how it's systematic, how the people actually stopped drinking alcohol. It was pretty systematic. So we can get a lesson from this, that we have to stop things, but gotta be systematic. We cannot stop it in one go, like with a flick. So I ended up doing the worst thing, and I didn't really know best. So it's understandable that I had that issue. And also, I had been going through some like exams and stuff, and well, what we know about the current situation of students and exams is basically that people get depressed pretty damn easy whenever the exams are there, because like it's a huge different pressure from your family, peers, and everything. And practically, when I was studying on my own, instead of like having a teacher over me, like looking over me, is like, okay, I'm gonna test you. Rather, I had to do all my testing myself, because it was my own, how could I put this? It was my own arrogance, my own selfish arrogance, which I'm proud of, to be honest, which is a good thing, because it kind of boosted my confidence. Because I did get the best, I did get good grades, and I passed very flawless, alhamdulillah, so I'm pretty chill with that. And to be honest, the hard work did pay off, and that's pretty much the backstory as to why I cut the road to knowledge overall. And now slowly I've been like trying to get into it, and alhamdulillah, it's still a bit bumpy. I still rarely kind of go and watch out videos, take notes. Probably I rarely take notes. That's a big no on my end. I really should start taking notes. And I discovered a few channels, and I really enjoyed them, to be honest. You know what? Let me just put one out there. AMAU is the best channel. They got the best cinematography. I mean, not cinematography, but like, okay, you know what? We could call that. And the video edits, I mean, god damn, it looks good. It looks professional as heck, bro. And to be honest, it's rare to find well shot and high quality videos, especially of Islamic lectures. I mean, usually you find things with some nasheeds in the background and a lot of like B-roll shots from many different places, or what stock footages, right? It kind of gets boring after a while. It's like, you would think you're going with the flow and starting to understand what's being like said, etc. But after a while, you just start thinking that, okay, this is kind of getting to my dopamine areas now. And sometimes it also kind of gets boring, like straight down, because, I mean, some of the shots are kind of unrelated at times. Although, those critiques excluded. So that's one of my wins. I got a few, to be honest. And I found a new project to work on. Alhamdulillah. I won't reveal much about it yet, because it's still under work. And it's going to take a lot longer, to be honest. I think it'll take me this entire year. And I'm going to have to enjoy my time with it, to be honest, because it's a very dark little project that I'm working with. And usually the projects I do work with are always dark. But somehow this got even darker and kind of personal to an extent. So I gotta have to like figure out a lot more about it, and then I can do some announcement for it. And taking from that, I'd say I even learned how to focus. Like finally there was this episode we were recording, but it never got uploaded because my mic was kind of weird. It was acting up. So in that episode, I said that I've lost my capability of focusing. Like, I get distracted real easy. But alhamdulillah, this time, I ended up learning how to focus. And it's not even for a small period of time, or even, let's say, 30 minutes. It's for a long period of time. I mean, I've been working on the project. And from that, I've been starting to see that it's understandable how I can get into the focus. Heck, even the flow state. I enjoyed my fair share of moments getting into the flow state with my work progress, man. I mean, alhamdulillah, it's been something. But enough
Mm.
about the project and the focus, even. Like I said already with the Quran recitation, which is my newer point, it was kind of meh. I'd say that the reason I call it a win is because I ended up reciting even more than I would recite normally. Like, let's say normally I would recite
Yeah.
1 page a day. Now I started reciting 2 to 3 because I gotta finish it, right? And then I kind of gave up in the
Mm.
midway, I guess. Yeah, pretty much. I really like to think that I ended up giving up because I saw that there's a heck ton of pages left, and I mean it's not gonna be ending by the last 5 or 10 days, right? So I just had to just like drop the gun on that one. But I hope to like inshallah next Ramadan I do have a plan that I'm gonna have to like I would like to master speed recitation with correct tajweed, of course. Because I was trying to recite it, like I still try to recite it with correct tajweed, and yeah, that kind of gets to me, kind of. It's understandable given Arabic isn't my first language, and yeah, it's understandable to be honest. Although, if there's any other critiques, I'd like you guys, the viewers, to give me some suggestions in the comment section. You're welcome to. Now, my next point, which is my final point for wins, not gonna lie, I didn't have many wins. I do have a lot more losses. So my final point here
Come
is
on.
that I didn't
Get up.
waste time with garbage content.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Because I was watching a lot of content before Ramadan, pre-Ramadan. And that's why I said like I dropped into Ramadan. Because I was just
Mm.
busy with a lot of content just shooting inside my head nonstop. And I literally got into that, basically the Jeffrey state of just constant dopamine rushes. Because I couldn't, like, I could watch long form videos, of course, but without them being in 1.5x, I could not even stand them. And of course, that's because it's also coming from a need, and also when back in 2020, when I watched Ali Abdal's video on like how he listens to things at 2x or 3x or something like that. And from then on, I kind of got into the habit of 1.5x because I want to cover as much information as possible in a short amount of time. But it kind of backfired. But I still use the 1.5x technique, and it's very fun. And I'm starting to graduate to 1.75 and 2 even, because 1.5 is kind of like my normal speed now. Although, going back to what I meant with the garbage content, I was watching a lot of these typical red pill videos. The reason I say red pill videos and in the garbage section is because not that they're actually garbage content. Rather, if you watch a lot of them constantly, it kind of becomes garbage in the end of the day. And because they're all almost all recycled
Mm.
arguments. Although yes, true. I mean, it's important, and I don't really hold anything against the red pill community because I myself wasn't in it, and I still enjoy it, to be honest, occasionally. But if it's your life, like if that is your life to watch red pill content from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, yeah, that kind of ends up becoming a garbage session in and of itself because you haven't been productive at all. Rather, you've been jumping from video to video. Where's the help in that? Where is the progress in that? Hence me stepping back from them, and now I just watch them occasionally. So that's all of the wins I got, to be honest. And now going to my losses. Ooh, this is gonna be a hard one. Procrastination. Yeah, the thing I said about knowledge, like trying to gain knowledge, I end up also relearning procrastination. Because sometimes I would procrastinate from watching some of the videos and like understanding what's being said, rewinding a bit, etc. And yeah, that's pretty much where I would fill in with some other content or something. I mean, it's always a constant bombardment of content, to be honest. And now, alhamdulillah, like I said, when ArchoN mentioned that meditation, that I've begun to take a step back and just stay in reality instead of just being in my laptop 24/7, which has really just, it's been more of a harm compared to more of a like advantage. It's been more of a disadvantage over advantage, to be honest, because like my mind couldn't focus on certain things because so much information was just shooting from all over the place, and I was watching a lot of things and quite fast, or maybe I was in the Discord server and just seeing through a heck ton of messages, and I actually learned something. I should be skipping messages from now on, because man, sometimes there are a lot of information going on around, and it's best to take a pause, which alhamdulillah I did end up learning. And next up is the sleep schedule. Don't even get me started. It was worse. It was already worse. It got even worse. Like, I would sleep after Fajr. So basically, I would pray Fajr like a zombie. Like, I would just be like, one eye open or something. Like, somehow I'm awake and I'm still praying Fajr. And then, boom, I would crash land into the bed and like, yep, night. Although it's morning. Haha. Quite the sarcasm right there. Nah, I'd say quite the irony for me. Because I want to sleep early, etc. But, yeah, there we go. I sleep late. And now my current sleep schedule is, yeah, it kind of got fixed, to be honest, because yesterday I ended up I tried sleeping at 11, but then it kind of took me some while, and then I got into it like by 12 or something. So alhamdulillah, I'd say it's pretty legit for now at least. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. So point 3,
Well, at least
yeah?
building blocks.
No, go
At
ahead,
least
bro.
at least it's something.
Now, you were saying,
No, oh, I said at least it's something. Like at least you're starting like you're starting to go to bed by 11. At least that's something. That's like at least some sort of systematic approach for your sleep. So
yeah, that's a fact. I mean, now it's just a thing about consistency, and I hope to continue that consistency, inshallah, moving forward, that is. Now, my third point is confusion with regards to reading books. As weird as that sounds, it's because I had self-improvement books on one end, psychology books on the other, and then I had Islamic books. And this is the ultimate confusion, because who do I read first? I was reading one of these self-improvement books, and I was enjoying it pretty much. It's, The Millionaire's Fast Lane. I kind of went in 100 pages in, and I was enjoying it. And then I realized I gotta also read some Islamic books. And now the Millionaire Fast Lane is on a pause. This is the weirdest thing. It's literally on a pause, 100 pages in. And I was reading an Islamic book by Ibn Jawzi, which is Characteristics of the Hypocrites. I went in. It's 80-something pages. It's a very short book. It's 80-something pages. I thought I could just do it in an all-nighter. Yeah, I went halfway in and forgot about the rest. I gotta start reading that again. I ended up going 42 pages in. It's pretty much halfway, or a bit more than halfway. It's pretty legit. I'm glad that I started reading books again, but really I should be more focused on finishing them and gaining the knowledge instead of just like rushing through them, to be honest. And especially with the attention span that I was saying, bro, that's something else. I have to train it. It's more of a duty on me now to train my mind to focus on long form things, and if it's slow. And to be honest, the weirdest thing is, it also reminds me with this attention span. I've been watching a movie and I really love it. And I watched it once, and my second time watch through is just like halfway through it. And it's by the name of Tenet, directed by Christopher Nolan. My gosh, I just love everything sci-fi, so it was pretty legit. I was enjoying it. I genuinely loved it. There's nothing to hate in it, to be honest. And
yeah.
one thing I learned was I ended up watching the movie at its normal speed on my second watch through. And that's when I started enjoying the movie in and of itself. Like, I was enjoying it a bit more compared to my previous watch through, which was 1.5x. Everything was fast paced and everything, But really, it was pretty nice. It was also helping me to train myself a bit to just like have the patience, rather to have the patience to just watch something, a movie, for example. Although it also ended up helping me to realize that movies have a lot of effects and whatnot going on. So those are pretty much keeping your dopamines excited. So of course you're gonna watch it to the end. Why not?
Mm.
Also, the fun fact from of course, I was enjoying the movie and I was also enjoying the absolute sci-fi treat of reverse entropy that was going on in it. Although it wouldn't happen in real life, of course. But really, I was enjoying myself a lot. And it's not in Ramadan, for FYI. It's actually quite recent, after Ramadan, in probably a day or two ago. I was actually pretty much delighted to realize that I can focus on things that move on normal speed. And that's also what I've been using to more train my speech, if you will, because I was speaking even more faster than I was speaking as fast as I would think, and that would just lead me to mumble talking and just having this absolute disaster of both my mind and words just colliding nonstop. And I would even talk over you or anyone else in the VC even, right? So that's where you kind of see this almost semi-slow approach to me speaking. Now, going on with that is that, yeah, my other point is no plans, as I've already explained. So my next point is too much info, as I've also already explained, because, man, the bombardment of information. Now, this point is gonna kill it. This point is going straight against you, ArchoN, bro. It's, yeah, stopped workout completely.
Stop. Oh my
God, bro. I actually stopped working out completely because, first off, it's actually a fairly good enough reason because I was having some health issues. And I was also, the moment after iftar, the immediate moment I would sip water, the first instance I would do it, my body would immediately let go completely. I would have no control and it would have to rest. My body would just have to rest or it wouldn't work at all. And it's because I was having some physical issues actually related to my stomach actually. So it's understandable why I would have some issues. So yeah, I would let it go, let it slide, but although yeah, I didn't completely let it slide because alhamdulillah I did slip some workout. Some days I would slip some workout in it, it would work. Of course it wasn't when I was fasting, it was after the fast. But yeah, it kind of loses its, how could I put this? It kind of loses its effectiveness, especially when not done with consistency. And my final point, which is also connected. Okay, I'm gonna make that announcement later. My final point: losing meaning in life. I actually turned nihilistic of all things, and the reason is, it's actually still very alien to me, why and how this ended up getting to me. Of course, it's understandable because I was overwhelmed with a lot of information, as I said, and also I didn't work out, and many other issues. As I've been saying, I've had a lot of losses, so this was my biggest loss ever. And I didn't realize that I was turning nihilistic until Eid. The Eid came in, and I realized I'm just not who I used to be at all, bro. This is an alien I'm looking at in the mirror. Because, bruv, the full nihilism was just full on in effect. And, I mean, Eid passed, and I was still continually going through it. But alhamdulillah, I'd say that I kind of found my answers to most of my questions. Although it was very rough, it's not very rough. I'd say it's somewhat of a rough journey to where I am right now. But I'd say that experience in and of itself was something delightful. Because now I'm more interested into understanding why I was more nihilistic and why I even entered into it and how it even catches somebody, especially a believing Muslim. I mean, wow, I would assume this is something for atheists because that is their final destination, that they can't really answer some morality-based questions after a while, and then they end up going to nihilism. So how come it affected somebody of religion? And FYI, it's not an alien thing. Even religious people do get nihilistic. And I've heard of this scenario many of times as well. Maybe not a lot of times, let's say a 50-50 percentage. Not really. It's kind of like a 30-70%, if you will. So I'd pretty much
Mm-hmm.
say that it was a journey, and I didn't enjoy myself, of course, because obviously it has its own ramifications. But however, I did enjoy the part that I ended up relearning my meaning. Of course, it's not the purpose of life that I was questioning. Like, what is the purpose of life, which we all know is Allah created mankind and jinn kind for His worship. It's not that really that I was more or less that I lost. It's rather, what is my next step, or what are my next missions? What should I do next? It's more of a, how could I put this? A directionless person, if you will. And I'm surprised that actually
Mm.
of all things led me to nihilism, but well, okay. It works, I guess. And the announcement here is that the next episode is gonna be my solo episode, and it's basically on the topic of meaning of life. Of course, maybe it's a meaning of life, maybe it's meaning of missions, whatever it may be, but it's related to meaning, that's for certain. Anyhow, Archon, bro, you got something to add? That's all I got, by the way. I'm done with all my
Um,
points.
but yeah, I have expanded on the book reading kind of thing. So it's like there are some books that I was able to like finish with, I don't know, that okay, 10 pages, 15 pages a day, and then
Yeah,
within like 1 or 2 weeks I was able to finish it. But there are some other books um, which is more action based. So there are some books that require you to ingrain the concepts in your mind, and then there are some which is like, do this exercise and do that. Now try like take out a pen and paper, and then write down all these, brainstorm all the ideas, like, stuff like that. So those kinds of books I have a harder time finishing. So the more actionable books, they're actually harder to finish because they
yeah, it's
require you to take action.
understandable, to be
Taking action
honest.
and doing those experiments, they actually take time. So don't really beat yourself up on it. And number two is like not all
Fair
books are
enough.
equal. So for example, let's say Mastery by Robert Greene. It's gonna take a lot more time to finish than, let's say, I don't know, Atomic
Yeah,
Habits or something
the
like that,
level of
right?
difficulty.
And speaking of Atomic Habits, yeah, and speaking of Atomic Habits, it's very deceptive. You know how it is. You know
How
how
so,
it is
actually?
deceptive.
Because I didn't know
It's
that it has
so
some sort of deception
it's
in it.
so no, the deception is it's so easy to read. That's it, because it's so potent. Like it's like the importance of all the concepts that's talked about, the ramifications. They If you expect, like, it's only like, I don't know, 200 something pages book, maybe, I forgot, but the ramifications, the implications of all those things, if you expand on them, it's easily gonna take up at least double or triple the
Man,
volume. So, so the stuff that James Clear has written in only like 1 or 2 sentences, to understand the full context, or at least like expand on what he has written to get the full experience, it's gonna take you more than just the 2 lines. Like more effort to learn than the effort it
also
took you
it's
to
kind of
read
like
those 2 lines.
engaging, you know? Like
So
it's simple and it's kind of, I would say it's also directed towards beginners, if you will. Like anybody can read, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because for example, if you say Robert Greene, for example,
yeah,
he isn't the type of author that anybody can read. It's more like it takes time to understand what he's
yeah, yeah.
saying. Yeah, I
Mm.
would agree.
No, but that one, like, it's gonna take time. But James Clear's one, it's like you think that it's not gonna take you. Like, you think that, okay, it's a very easy to read book. I'm just gonna finish it and I'm gonna understand everything. But when you try and read it, it's very easy to read. It's very easy to understand. But how do I explain it? It's like, it's very good. Like, I'm praising the book. It's very good. But the thing is, the application of it, it's gonna that like understanding the application of it. That's what's gonna take you
Man,
the time. So it's like it's very easy to brush off, not brush off, read through, like read through a sentence that you should have taken at least a few minutes to read. So it's like, okay, you read this particular sentence in 5 seconds, but it's so important that you should actually have spent, I don't know, 5 minutes
To
on it
really like
to
think
really
about what's
get.
being said.
So it's like, yeah, yeah. You might miss, like you might miss something very important that's very
Mm.
simply written. So yeah,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, not gonna lie.
a little.
I actually listened to the audiobook version of it, so yeah, to be honest, I don't recall much of the information because I remember as I was listening to the audiobook, I was also working on the various manga projects that I was working on, so it's understandable why I ended up not recalling most of the information. Although some of them, which I already like, which I was, how could I put this? I was actively engaging with the content, if you will. Like I was actually just
Mm-hmm.
listening to what he just read out because I was listening to it read by James Clear. So basically, I was actually just sitting there. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was working on it, but then later I had to stop a bit, think what he said, like put up my own argument on, or my own twist on the information, if you will. I don't specifically remember which information I had done this on, but I did it, and it was pretty. That's also a pretty neat way, if you will, because it kind of makes you engage with the information instead of just taking it passively. And that's basically what usually a lot of self-help people do. Like we end up taking. I'm also putting myself in it. We end up taking a lot of information, but we rarely end up relating to it, or rather, to understanding that information. Right? Like you said, Atomic Habits is the most easiest book to read, but how many people actually spend their time to internalize it? Because you can say something, right? You can speak it out loud.
Yes.
Even if you do so, if you don't understand what you're saying or how that information can affect you, it would go out the window. Like it was a waste of time right there, a
Yeah.
waste of effort.
Actually, no, because you read it once, and even so, that's another misconception that I actually fixed in myself. We're actually we're actually diverting from Ramadan retrospective to book rants.
That's
But
for
anyways,
real.
so so it's like what I did was expectation, internal expectation is that I'd read a book once and I'll understand it fully.
Yeah,
So it's like that's actually a false expectation. So there are some books that require you to read it, even if they're easy to read, it would require you to like read it at least three, four, 5 times to actually get it, like on top of the experimentations of all the things that the book talks about. So three, four, 5 times, maybe 10 times to actually properly understand what the book says, what it means, and to actually internalize that. So yeah, I don't. So one of the mistakes that readers do make in this self improvement phase is that they read it. They expect to read uh, this one book, and then they'll be able to properly internalize it. But the truth is,
yeah.
if you read it, you might internalize like what 50% of it, and then you randomly read it again some other time, and then you internalize the, I don't know, 20% more, and then the rest, and then you read it again sometime later under new context, and then you discover some other parts
Yeah.
that you hadn't considered. This
I'd say
happens a lot.
like
So
I'll actually link James Johnny's video on this, but he actually put it so on the mark for what I was actually trying to say about the self-help area. To be honest, like reading a book is kind of like a competition instead of like I want to read this for the sake of understanding. Rather, it's just a thing
yeah,
of I gotta get my ego boost, and I can say to my other self-help bros that yo, I
uh,
finished it. Look at me, I finished it. I got my book. Alright, you got it. I got my finished it. So it kind of gets redundant, if you will. That's pretty much what I was trying to say. But yeah, thank you for your point. Not gonna lie,
uh,
it kind of fills in the gap that I was having as well.
that's true as well. Speaking of redundancy, though, there are some. Yeah, you might find some similar things across multiple books, but I think so. Coming on that tangent, I think it's actually good because if you read the same thing from multiple sources, you're more likely to value it.
Man,
So so it's like, oh, this author talked about, oh, that other author also talked about something similar, oh, this, and then this, that, and maybe like five. So in your mind, it's like 5 to 10 people, 5, 6 different people talking about the
with
same
their
thing. That's
own
why it's like,
different ideas, or rather, it's the same idea
yeah,
but put in a different way from 6 or 10 different people. But also, we're
yes,
we're pretty privileged enough in this generation with YouTube because a lot of people you'll easily find book reviews, and it's not that like you can easily make sense that okay, should I or should I not read that, or will it be helpful for
mm,
me? And then there's also a set of channels who will say like 10 books you should be reading for XYZ, which is a
yeah,
very normal thing, which I can find in from the self-help area to even the most English literature-based areas. Because, yeah, of
mm,
course, it's all over the place. Even for sciencey books, if you will. Like, which books you can find. Of course, I'm making this up a bit, because I don't know if they actually... I haven't searched it enough that they actually... like, science-based YouTubers actually say that 10 books to understand a certain concept. I hope they say it, but I'm gonna have to do some research on that. However, from the
mm.
self-help to the English literature, yeah, I've found it a lot, especially in especially in self-help, but also in English literature. Because it's understandable. You would want your fellow subscribers to read a set of books that you have enjoyed. So it's understandable. And speaking of those books, though, like I think I should revisit Ibn Jawzi's book. Not gonna lie, I really should revisit it and start and get a slow read instead of just pulling up an all-nighter on it. Because I was fast reading
Yeah,
it. I was actually fast reading it to 42 pages. I got the basic understanding of what he was trying to say, but I also kind of forgot them. So it kind of makes it redundant of all my fast work. Now I really gotta do smart work on it. Oh boy.
I remember, like, I remember some technique that I came across a few years ago, which was titled like it's a viral video. It's called "How to
Enlighten me.
Absorb Text like a sponge."
I
So the
remember that,
overall,
bro. I remember that.
yeah,
I
so
actually watched it
yeah,
twice or even more.
I came across it in my A level days. It was
Same
absolutely
here during
beautiful.
my A level days. The weirdly
So
good
the
old days. Not gonna lie, the weirdly good old days.
so, so overall, it was like that. I'm gonna have to rewatch that again because I'm gonna need that once more. So it's like um overall it's gonna take you more time to read if you apply the technique, it's gonna take you more time to read the book once, but it's gonna
And
save you from reading the book more than once.
it's gonna make
So
you more
maybe,
efficient.
yeah, so it's gonna maybe take you like um 1.5 or 2 times as much time to read the book, but it's gonna have as much effect as reading the book maybe 3 times or something like that. So
Yeah,
there's a
that's
bit of it.
legit. Also, the reason why we're talking about books is because I recently discovered that a lot about Islam can be learned from books instead of just YouTube lectures. Also, YouTube lectures are basically a supplement, but you can get a lot in books because there's a heck ton of gems in there. And I love to
Mm,
get that. Also, I'm into reading a lot of self-help and psychology-based books because, bruh, I love them. It's my favorite thing. I mean, psychology specifically, bruh. I love it a lot. Not gonna lie.
mm.
Also, wait, give me a minute. Agree with Syzerial. Hey, the chat's active. You don't know what you don't
Oh,
know if you don't read books. Yeah, facts. Facts. Keep watching YouTube videos. I mean, YouTube videos can only go so far, right? I mean, I was trying to, for example, back in 2021 or 2022, yeah, I was trying to find the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and I didn't really find anything good. I did find Uthman ibn Farouk's videos. They were pretty legit. I don't think they're finished. I don't know. Maybe they're finished or maybe they're not. Anyhow, I'm gonna have to read the books anyways. I'm gonna attempt it later, especially given my rocky journey to like relearning about Islam now. Not relearning specifically, like getting back to learning, right? Because I've been out for like 5 months or a year whole as well. Not
mm,
gonna lie, it also gave me a fresh perspective of because I was out there not listening and not watching Islamic videos anymore, so I was just I was busy watching the other stuff, right? It kind of gave me this whole perspective of like, yeah, there's a lot more garbage out there than you can think of, and if you don't let's say if you don't think about certain things, you would end up watching a heck ton of different things, right? For example, maybe I'm not interested in learning about Islam anymore, so I'm watching whatever appeals to me. Like it's a directionless kind of situation, right? And for me specifically, though, I would say I didn't find myself being directionless because I did find myself watching certain videos that I was always into, like the certain subjects. I was studying certain subjects that I was always into, like psychologies, for example, or um criminology, if you will, because I love all those different aspects, all those different subjects. Those are kind of what appeals to me, especially when I grew up with Death Note, and especially practically that's what kind of made me so hyper interested in psychology and also criminology a bit. Although I rarely watch them or interact with them, so yeah, that's it. Oh, Syzerial, can I get some context on what you guys are talking about? We were basically talking about. Oh yeah, ArchoN, do you want to go ahead and summarize it?
Uh, you basically the we were firstly talking about the books, like the types of books, the context based, like learning, like how many times to read, and the whole mindset. I explored some mindsets behind reading books that some people have, and after that it transitioned to, since books are sort of content, and we oftentimes we get led into books through YouTube videos themselves. So so the topic was YouTube videos, and then we were talking about consuming content, and then maybe there were some periods of time that we watch a certain type of content, and then we transition to other types of content. Maybe, for example, for a while you watch Islamic content, and then maybe you transition to like other topics that you're
Whatever
interested in.
areas interest you really. And
Yeah. So
speaking
yeah,
of,
that was.
yeah, and speaking of like all the books and stuff, I got some to read. To be honest, I've got some audiobooks as well, so I gotta get into them. Like not gotta, more like I gotta finish them because I started some audiobooks. For now, I can't say which
Mm,
one
nice,
because
nice.
I don't know what the reach is gonna be on it if I say it. So yeah, I'm not gonna say it for now. But I'm enjoying these audiobooks, and of course, I'm also listening. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. To be honest, it's best I don't say it for now. Rather, I first finish
Great.
it, and then I can give a whole review of what I learned from it. And now, speaking of all that, though, I finally gotten back to working out as well. So, alhamdulillah. Maybe I didn't work. I mean, I didn't work out in Ramadan, so what? I got it now, bruh. Let's get it. We got,
Alhamdulillah. At
yeah.
least start small. There was a saying, um, you can't optimize what you don't standardize. So you gotta standardize it first.
Hmm. I even, I even ended up learning. I was watching this video. I mean, it's on YouTube still, and I do have it in my playlist of workout videos. So, it's basically Tate teaching boxing to Mike
Mike
Thurston?
Tyson?
Thruston? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I basically have that video saved in my workout playlist, bro. I ended up kept on practicing because usually I would shadow box and I would go super fast, or maybe I would just go enough to break a sweat, etc. But this time I was kind of focusing on technique and more of power. Not gonna lie, it actually changed a lot of things. It made me more efficient because I realized I was wasting a lot of movements. And I was going all over the place sometimes. Yeah, I kind of felt stupid, but it's nice. It's nice. Be humble.
mm,
That's it for now, then. I guess we're gonna end it here. And inshallah,
yeah.
look forward to the next episode, which is gonna be my solo episode. And inshallah, after that, we're gonna have some different plans, I guess. But the reason why we're doing solo episodes is because sometimes ArchoN or me, we're very busy. We barely can pull up any episodes. So, yeah, this is pretty much our way of keeping the content running and also keeping it relevant enough and what we've learned. Because, yeah, sometimes it kind of goes like maybe I've learned something, but he's busy, so I can't really get out. Or maybe he's learned something and I'm busy, so we can't really get out with the information. So, and then it turns out to be a more bigger episode than it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
All right, then. See you all.
All right.
Take care and be safe. Assalamu alaikum. Stay strong.
Assalamu alaikum and walaikum assalam, Syzerial. And
Alaikum assalam to you, bro.
thank you everyone for staying till the end. Bye bye.